Welcome to Faces of Fleet, an interview series from Work Truck, where we take a more personal look at the fascinating people in Fleet and explore the experiences that shaped them. I'm Lauren Fletcher, and today I'm excited to chat with DieselGirl Missy Albin. Missy's journey into fleet maintenance is inspiring, from a childhood curiosity about how things work to becoming a master certified diesel technician. Her path wasn't traditional. She initially pursued graphic design before realizing her true calling was under the hood. Now, she strongly advocates for mentorship, inclusivity in the shop, and continuous learning in the fleet industry. Missy has overcome industry challenges, broken barriers for women in fleet maintenance, and built a career fueled by passion, resilience, and a commitment to helping others succeed. Today, we'll dive into her experiences, lessons learned, and get some advice for the next generation of fleet technicians. So let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, Missy.
Hi.
So why don't we get started and have you just tell me a little bit about yourself and a little bit of your background?
So I grew up, I was in a household where we had a 75 Stingray. So I was exposed to all of the car stuff, very fun, but my father never allowed me to have any curiosities. He was OCD. So it kind of hindered what my passion was, and I questioned a lot about myself when I was younger. And then, having all these experiences throughout life, I was able to achieve the goals that I wanted to do. And now here I am. I have a bunch of certificates that I earned by myself. I absolutely love the job that I'm in. I'm excited to share it with everybody. I'm extremely passionate, and the passion began from way when I was younger.
So with that, you've had quite the journey into fleet maintenance, like I noted. Can you share what really first drew you into working with vehicles and how that passion's evolved over time?
Yeah, so like I was saying, my father had a 75 Stingray, so I was always exposed to the car clubs. That was the exposure that kind of showed me that I did have the opportunity for this passion. I just needed the opportunity to explore it. So I remember my first time I went over to my boyfriend's house and he had Christmas lights hooked up into his speakers. And my mind was blown. I didn't know what it was, but now I know it's visual ohms, and the lights were dimming to the music it was just amazing. All he did was take two wires and put them together, and it blew up. Was a spark to my curiosity that, what I thought was actually normal, you could do. Like, I think I was just like very narrow-minded, and I didn't know that there was more to this. And it was an absolute amazing thing to find out when I was a kid. So I just had so many curiosities that I wasn't really allowed to explore. So when I was able to explore all those curiosities, it was like an explosion of sensory. It was just awesome. And I still explore these passions as I get older, because it's not like I just became a technician and like that's it. Like, there's so much more to being a technician. It never gets old, and there's always something new to knock on your door and say, hey, do you want a new skill set? There's something that you can learn, and it evolves. Everything evolves over time, and it's just so much fun.
Well, you mentioned when we were talking that your childhood curiosity and your love of problem solving kind of shaped your path. Looking back, did you ever imagine you'd end up as a master certified diesel technician?
Never. Oh my goodness. I remember going up to Maine. We had a cottage, and my mom would be driving past trucks, and she freaks out. Even till this day, she still freaks out when they're going by her or she's near them. And just being a kid, I just laughed it off. And for some reason, I was just never scared of them. So I think that moment definitely played a role when shaping me, when I did have, the big eyes, like, oh my God, this thing's so huge, like big parts, big tires, big everything. I didn't actually know that these opportunities really existed until I had them. And it's funny because like I found myself becoming a mechanic. I mean, not becoming a mechanic. I found myself wanting to be a mechanic my whole life, but I found myself a technician. And it's funny, and I kind of like make the joke. I still say, when I grow up, I'm going to be a mechanic.
It's funny to hear the stories that kind of inspire us on trucking, and a lot of them do stem from when we were younger. I remember being very young, and I had a cousin who was a truck driver, and he would bring his big truck to my grandmother's house. And my grandmother and I would walk the length of the trailer to see how long the truck was that he had that time. And it was always so big to me and so amazing. And I'd get to climb into the truck cab and talk on the radio. And it was always a lot of fun. I never realized I'd be, writing about him and working with him as I got older, but it's been there for a long time.
Right. That's awesome.
So you initially pursued graphic design before switching to, technicians and maintenance and vehicles. What was the moment that made you realize that your true calling was in the garage, not the studio?
No, I didn't have any support when I was growing up. I was a varsity cheerleader. I cheerleaded my whole life until I was 25 years old. So my stereotype and my activeness was not geared towards being a mechanic. A lot of people that I hung around were going into the medical field. And so that's what they're doing today. I really didn't have that support, and I am adopted. And my adopted mom, but my mom, she helped me find my birth parents. So the moments of clarity and validation in my life came to me when I was 18 years old. I met my biological family. It was the most amazing thing because, like my whole life, I thought I was unique and weird, and I felt like I was outcasted. I always was looking in. But now I have a better understanding, like it's my bloodline. I was in a bloodline of mechanics, of construction, carpentry. My biological mother, she actually was doing electronics
Oh,
when
wow.
circuit boards. Yeah, when I met her, it was crazy. I mean, I like, really? That's all I kept saying. I'm like, I just kept going over and over, and I had to literally go over a whole lifetime of events, of different challenges, or being told like I was weird, like I shouldn't be doing this. This isn't normal way of thinking for a girl. You should be out there in a dress, and come home in the dirty dress with mud all over it. I would be catching pollywogs, like the catfish and stuff.
Yep.
It
Mhm.
was awesome. However, I was always that. So I was sitting in my class, in my graphic design class, because I was kind of, encouraged to do what I did best out of high school. And I was listening to all those Jake breaks, and knowing that my family had a big role in the industry, and then knowing that I was literally feeling the Jake breaks run through my body, and it was like calling me. It was just a
Mhm.
moment that I'll never forget. I remember the classroom. Every time I drive by that classroom, I always think about that moment. It literally changed my life. So what I had to do is I had to tell my family that I'm not going to school anymore. And that actually was a little bit of a burden, but we had to work through that as well. And that was hard. So support is actually really, really important
Yeah.
for me in my life.
That makes a lot of sense. You're talking to a fellow adopted person as well, so that speaks to me very, very strongly. As a matter of fact,
Oh, oh my
try not
God,
to get
so
emotional.
nice. Oh, no, that's so nice. I mean, you never know when you're not alone out there until you actually put yourself out there.
Yeah, no, it's very, very true. And I think, it
Yeah.
actually ties perfectly into the next question that I wanted to ask you, which is, you've spoken about the challenges of being a woman in fleet maintenance. I've heard you speak before. What's one of those hardest hurdles that you've faced, and how have you worked to overcome it?
Okay, so I definitely think that there's a lot of answers to this. I think there's not just like one answer. But I'll touch on the surface of two, an inward and an outward perspective. So, looking inward, developing self confidence, trusting in yourself, and learning to accept humiliation, I think is one of the most gratifying things that I've actually I learned in life. When you can focus on yourself and do better than your last while overcoming any struggle throughout the entire job is extremely rewarding. So each time I went through something, I develop a new skill set. I learn something new. I get rewarded by those gratifications of working hard and having that accomplishment. And I really feel that even the harder the job, the more crappier you feel through it, the more barriers you have to overcome through it, the outcome is is by far the best feeling. And it's not that you get these like once a day or something. Like sometimes you can have these micro accomplishments like throughout the day. And I think that's an inward building, because once you can learn how to build your confidence, trust yourself, then you can kind of, move on from these little things in here that are kind of holding you back from the outward things. And now the outward part, I definitely have to say is like building tolerance to the navigation in the industry and being taken seriously, while also be given fair opportunity. So yeah, I think that would probably be pretty much like the surface of two different feelings for me.
I love it. And I think, a big part of that is celebrating those small wins. It is really, really important to not look always at the big picture, but those small steps that it takes to get to those major accomplishments is always really important to pay attention to.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you've worked through pregnancy, dealt with stereotypes, faced harassment. How have you stayed so resilient and kept pushing forward in your career?
That is actually such a great question. I actually really have a hard time answering that. For me, I feel like navigation is tough. I've always just kind of had the mindset that this is my passion. Nobody's going to take it from me, because in the beginning, everybody said, no, you can't do this. And I literally had to lose a lot of relationships in order to do this for myself. So I basically burned into my brain that I'm always going to stay true to myself. And you know what? Sometimes resilience has to come from crying. Sometimes resilience has to come from laughter. One of my favorite ones to laugh at is that for 21 years, I've been breaking a stereotype. And that is a job in its own. Isn't that incredible?
That's amazing.
I actually should be part of the job, description. You just have to break stereotypes on top of wrenching, just let you know.
Yeah, it's too hard, just a little bit. Well, I mean, with that, it's, our industry is definitely slowly becoming more inclusive. But I think, we still see a really long way to go, especially in specific segments such as maintenance technicians. What are some of the biggest changes that you'd like to see to make the shop environment more welcoming for more women?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of answers to this. I think my passion project recently is probably going to be my most heightened answers, because pants are a problem, uniforms are a problem. So basically, I've definitely come to a lot of research, a lot of market research. I have spoken to multiple technicians, female technicians. I'm interested in what they have to say about this. Yeah, if you're female, cannot find any pants in the rental uniform company's catalog that is appropriate for the job at hand, please come up with a program to buy the pants that best fits and works for her in the appropriate job setting. I just think it is so ultimately incredibly important to not only feel safe and to be safe with the clothes that you are in, but to have the confidence that falls behind wearing your uniform. When you wear a uniform, you are supposed to feel your most confident. It is the most, when I was little, uniforms just were so important to me, and I would look up to anybody in uniform, and that was just like, I want to be that. So I wear my uniform with pride. I definitely think that the environments play a role too. I know that in some areas they're a little bit more rough than other areas, and obviously throughout the country it's not exactly the same equal across the boards and how everybody thinks about behavior. So basically, I feel non-toxic environments are very supportive for anyone, not just females, but like for all humans, for development growth, by investing in their technicians, by mentorship programs, or just education. Definitely touching back onto the female side. It might be odd for me to say this, but invest in bathrooms. I mean, listen, I haven't had a bathroom for 21 years. I do admit I have worked in older shops. I don't have an issue with it because I am actually used to it. But if I were to place my 18-year-old daughter into a shop that didn't have a bathroom, I actually would feel some type of way.
Yeah.
So I am advocating for women, or for two bathrooms, doesn't matter, just a bathroom of privacy within the shop. That would be beautiful for all of us women, and some compassion along with that, because we are women, and we have Mother Nature calls, and
Yep.
not a lot of people talk about that stuff, and I think it needs to be more spoken about because it's a real thing.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think, and it goes along with the, safety and comfort that we, touched on in the beginning with uniforms and clothing. I think just making sure that that is top of mind for everybody is really, really important. And I don't think people really understand some of the safety elements that go into something like a uniform that fits well and isn't getting snagged or isn't getting cut or caught in
Yeah.
things, as well as the comfort side. So no, that's all incredibly important. I was reading and I heard you credit mentors like Ron King and Joe Doherty for helping you grow as a technician. What impact did they have on your career, and how important is mentorship for women in your industry?
Well, it's very important, and there's so many reasons why. It's on countless. Um, but to generalize it, they basically help give me perspective, and they've each taught me patience in their own rightful aspect. They both have played very different roles as mentors for me as well. So Ronnie taught me how to look at problems and how to solve them, how to work through them logically without emotion, how to be confident in problem solving. He developed a skill where I married the codes to the actual big sheet diagram, and then went through timestamp. I mean, he strategically just had something that I just dug, and I was like, give me more, give me more, give me more. And he sent me home with colored pens and pencils, and it was awesome. He challenged my brain, and he prepared me for all of the, like, I mean, I had hands on when I was working with him, but the hands on the truck side versus the school bus side it was a shift over for me. There is a difference. So with his education that he taught me, I was easily on the truck side, understanding things, and being able to catch on quickly. There was a gap in my mentorship though, through an era, and I did find myself thinking that technicians were my friends, and they're awful sometimes, people. So I definitely learned that I just have to focus on myself, and these people are not my friends, and everybody has their agendas. Just keep your focus on your own agenda and your own goals. And then what happened to me then was harassment, and through that I earned Joe Doherty. And Joe Doherty was there during it. I also had to reach out to Ron King at the same time to ask him, what do I do? Like, I thought I could handle this situation, but apparently no doesn't mean no anymore. So, I didn't really know how to handle it after it got to a certain point. So, and then having Joe as a mentor really helped heal me through the harassment. And then I fell in love with how inspiring he was as a technician, as this person that had all these knowledge and experience beyond mine. And he was actually such a life-changing experience as a mentor, because not only did I have this passion, but he fed my passion for electric, and I've had the ability to learn more logic, more theory from him, that I didn't have before. Also, really fun things is I've always done air brakes, and I've never actually done a disc brake before. And I looked at him, I was like, I don't know why I feel intimidated, but I really do. I'm 40 years old. I've been doing this for so long. It's just a disc brake. But no, I actually had him stand right behind me, and he coached me through the whole thing. Like, okay, nope, pull it, how to, it's just all different things. And, I had the whole hub fall on me, and it was just
No.
a really fun experience. And that actually gave me more confidence just going through that whole situation, as ridiculous as it sounds. But mentors are there to push you into your best success. They help you become confident in your abilities when you may not have the confidence in the areas that you're trying to gain. And without their mentorship, I couldn't have been a mentor myself. And I am one today for a woman named Steph Trunk. And she is awesome. And I want to see in the futures more women mentoring women, because that's my real hope for the future for women in the industry with mentorship programs.
I love it. I love it. You're also a really big advocate for continuous learning and self education. What are some of the most valuable skills or certifications that have helped you advance in your career?
I think any opportunity you get for you to gain education or gain skill set, it's only going to benefit you in your job and in your career. So I want to say my fuel is enthusiasm. And I feel certifications are a great thing, especially if you want to transfer jobs or move up in a job. Um, I I like to get paid to learn, and I like to get paid to apply what I've learned. So I feel incredibly lucky to have the opportunities that International Trucks gives me, by having their programs, especially in Cummins also too, because I'm getting Cummins certified as well. So I think any time that you can have the opportunity to educate, gain a skill set, get a certificate, it's only going to benefit you.
You have been so incredibly busy. I mean, from certifications, mentorship, everything that you've been doing, writing, speaking. Can you share some of your recent successes and goals and kind of help narrow some of that down?
Yeah, I actually do. I do a lot. When I start to try to put it all together, I might leave some things out. So again, I just want to bring up to the mentor, the woman that I mentor, Steph Trunk. She is awesome. She actually nominated me last year for Technician of Affluence Award for International Trucks. They do a monthly, you write in for the person that you nominated, and then they'll select you however they do the process. And then I was also humbled when they selected me to be part of the Technician of the Year competition. I did come in runner up for that position, which is it was just awesome to be a part of it. So I am still a professional subject writer for ASE, as you can see right there. So I wrote for S1, S2, T2, T8, and then this year I'll be writing for T7 and T6, and I'm really excited for T6. I'm like sweating for this. I am so excited. I love to write, and it's so weird because if you asked me in high school, I was like, you want me to write how many words? Like how many pages? I can't do that. and now I have to cut down everything I write. It's ridiculous. But I do love to write and share diagnostics. Anything that kind of works with me or makes sense and I feel like is going to help anybody else. I feel like spreading good information and best practices is what I never had for me. And so I want to do it for everybody, else. So I do that as much as I can. My first one was don't de-stress your diagnostic process. And it was talking about how to channel and find your roots on your path and how to get down to your root cause. And it was one of the most fun things I've ever done, and I got hooked from that moment on. So from there, I started writing a children's book.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So I have it, but I'm trying to navigate how to get this published. I have it all drawn out and written out. Now I just need those next steps. I am also currently in the middle of one for women as well. I feel like that's going to take a little bit longer, because I have so much to say and share.
There's a lot.
Yeah, and so but yeah, so my goals are to like extend my passions in any way that I can to inspire the next generation or the generation that is actually within, to kind of help help make this, go forward. Also, one last thing, I am a brand ambassador for Brunch Workwear. These boots are awesome. I just have to say that I have never owned such a great pair of boots. I blow all the toes out of my boots. And I actually collect them on top of my toolbox. This
Oh
is
my
no
gosh.
word of a lie. You can go on all of my videos and you can see all of my boot damage. I am not kidding. You can go through it. You can see them all taped, glued, everything. I'm still going. These are only a couple months in. I'll let you know in a year how these go.
We'll have to touch base and find out. I love it so much. I knew you were busy, but that even added more than I thought you had going on. That's insane. Starting to wrap things up a little bit and coming up with some action items that we can do. You talked about wanting more inclusive uniforms, dedicated spaces for women. What's one simple but powerful change shops could make today to support female technicians?
It's just changing the perspective and the mindset that males and females are different, but we are equal, capable to doing the same job. I think that's just so important to know that, and I guess just a little bit is we need again a little bit of more compassion and opportunity. We are women. We do take different accommodations than men. Again, menstrual cycles, babies, perimenopause, and menopause, and sometimes that does interfere with a day-to-day life on a few hours basis or a day thing. So there are things that we have to go through as women that are very different than men. Also, another thing that I wanted to touch on is that imposter syndrome is real for people, and I hate hearing it so much, because it's just a gross word, and we need to rewire that thought process. Imposter syndrome is just something like you have not had this experience yet. You have not had the correct person to explain your job. Through mentorship, I think we can rewire that process into confidence, and just by changing the perspective and gaining control of the narrative in the industry.
I read a quote once that stuck with me about that said, real imposters never experience imposter syndrome. And it really resonated with me on that if you're having those moments of doubt, that you need to shake it off a little bit, because if you're truly an imposter, it probably wouldn't matter to you that much at that point. And that
Exactly.
everybody's going to have those moments, but you've got to try, give it your best, and see what happens.
Yes, absolutely.
You've also been a really strong advocate for technician appreciation and employee rewards. How can fleets do a better job of recognizing and retaining their best talent?
That's such a great question. And listen, I feel 100% that company gatherings are a great way to bond with employees outside of the environment of stress or having to prioritize this from that. Celebrating company as a whole in itself altogether is very special. When you do that, you can start individual recognitions as well through different awards and different incentive programs. And for that is to succeed in goals or a skill set that you've been trying to accomplish. Maybe you're just really good at your job naturally. These people just need to be recognized for their achievements. And it only makes you a better technician and a better human for being a part of other people's celebratory successes.
I love it. I think the last question that I've got for you today, if you could go back and give advice to your younger self just starting out in maintenance and tech, what would you say?
Yes, yes, yes. I am ADHD and I'm a social butterfly. So I say, focus on yourself. Confidence also comes within time and in experience. And understand there is a line. Don't let anybody cross it. Dawn is the best soap to get the grease off your skin, but always moisturize after. Don't forget your sunscreen. It is so important. And also, zinc oxide is a great barrier for anything in the shop related when you go to clean up at the end of the day, and it's good for your skin. Let's see. Let's see. PPE is so cool, even though you might feel like a fool. But I'm telling you, PPE is awesome, and you are cool looking in PPE. And always, always, always be bigger than your dreams because it will take you places.
I love that so much. Missy, thank you so much for taking the time to share your story and insights with me today.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was so much fun.
So, for anyone interested in more episodes of Faces of Fleet, Truck Chat, or for more info on DieselGirl, check out the links below. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and comment below to let me know who I should chat with next. And be on the lookout for more episodes of Truck Chat, where I'll continue to focus on the people and topics that matter the most to work truck fleets.